Well, good evening. Good evening. We are so excited that you chose to be with us tonight. We are excited about this event called Digital Dangers. And here in just a moment, you're going to hear from two different organizations. You're going to hear from two of our officers, Officer Yarnell and Officer Daniels from the Knox County Sheriff's Department. And they're part of the Digital Intelligence Unit. And then you're also going to hear from Miss Lisa Ivy, who is a part of Street Hope, which is an excellent organization in our area that deals a lot with sex trafficking recovery, and they're doing a lot in this conversation of digital dangers as well. But before we begin, I just wanted to share how thankful I am that we're having this conversation. I've been in student ministry for 10 years, and I've been able to see just the differences that we've faced living in an online world. Everything from pornography to depression and anxiety to even just wasting time on screen scrolling. And I'm sure some of us have seen that in our own lives. And this isn't going to be a gloom and doom. This is going to be how can we use this well conversation. But I'm just now beginning to see this as a parent as well. So we have 3 little boys, and our oldest is 6, and so I'm just now getting into this world. So I'm excited to learn with you. I want to pray for us, that we would just be open to hear what's going on in our world, and then that we would have the spirit and the heart to handle it in a gospel-centered way, because ultimately this is not about modifying behavior or just putting up fences. This is about having surrendered hearts to Christ, who want to be more like him, who want to be holy like he is holy. So I'm going to pray for us, and then Officer Yarnell and Officer Daniels are going to come up, and then after them, Miss Lisa Ivy will come up and share, and then we'll conclude the evening as Pastor comes up after them. So let's pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for who you are. You care about every detail of our lives. You care about how we think. You care about how we feel. You care about what we do, and that includes what we do online. And so I pray that as we talk through different ways that we can be equipped as parents or equipped as students, equipped as just people to be holy as you are holy, to recognize that the enemy is a roaring lion seeking to devour us, and to be on our guard against those things, and then to utilize our world for your kingdom. God, would you help us to leave this room not with fear, but with hope that we can do this, and that we can approach this conversation with grace and with holiness. And so, God, we thank you for Christ. He is our only hope, and we pray this in his name. Amen. Amen. Will you all give it up for Officer Yarnell and Officer Daniels as they come and share the stage?
Wow. All these lights up here and a microphone, I may just start singing. I don't know if y'all would like that or not, but let's do it. Let's do it, yeah. Thank you so much for the intro. Thank you so much for allowing us to be here. My name is Captain Aaron Yarnell. I am captain over the Technology Division for the Sheriff's Office, and Sergeant Angie Daniels is sitting over there. Wave at him, Angie. There you go. It's such an honor to come out and talk to you guys about social media safety and about online crimes and online safety. The Knox County Sheriff's Office under Sheriff Thomas Spangler started a technology division when he came in office 3 years ago. So we have 28 people that do nothing but technology crimes. We do investigations, we do support, we do forensics. 28 people. When I started the Knox County Sheriff's Office in 1995, there was 2, right? This has grown. This has grown at a rate that you cannot imagine when it comes to technology-based crimes. With this, I started an outreach program called the SMART Initiative for Social Media Awareness and Responsibility Training. I got tired of answering calls as a major crimes detective of the parents just saying, I just didn't know. I didn't know what they was doing. How many times do we hear that? Right from our own kids. What's the first thing we say when the child asks you, hey, can I download this app? How much is it? Right? That's the first thing we say. And I started seeing a pattern of children doing things that their parents had no idea what they was doing, right? A lot of kids are educating their parents on it because you hand a kid a device and they know what they're doing more than you do. So I started thinking, how can I help? How can I reach out to people to not be reactive, but be proactive? Let's be proactive to technology. Now, I'm not saying that you have to love technology and you have to take a picture of everywhere you go when you got to check in and take a picture of your food and post it on Instagram, right? Snapchat your buddies, check in places. No, but we got to be aware of it, right? We got to understand it. We got to know what's out there. So I came up with a 4-step process, and it's going to be really hard for me to stay under 25 minutes, so I'm going to try, though. 4-step process of how to keep your children safe online. The first being preparation. Preparing yourself for technology in 2021. Guys, if you think technology is going away, then you might as well just get up and leave now because you're wrong, right? There is nothing that is going to stop technology. It's making too much money, right? Way too much money. Our children are using it like zombies, right? They're walking around with their phone in their hand, bumping into people, going the other way, bumping into people. It's amazing because this device right here in my pocket, it can be a tool for education. It can be a tool for communication. But on the other hand, it can be a portal to hell, right? There's a lot of bad things on here. And it's not a babysitter. It's not. But social media and technology is not a fad. It's the change in the way we communicate. If your child wakes up tomorrow morning speaking Spanish, what are you going to do? You're going to learn Spanish real quick, right? You're going to have no clue what they're talking about. Social media and technology with our children is a different way to communicate. So we have to accept that in the preparation. Because if we don't prepare ourselves for that, then we're going to be missing out. If you tell yourself, I am not letting my child on social media, and if that's what you come here to hear me say, then you're going to be disappointed. Because you can't keep them from it. You can't keep them from technology. You can try, right? But they can't go to church because half these kids here's got phones. They can't go to overnight stays with their friends, lock-ins. Actually, they can't even go to school because their kids sticking in phones at school. I'm not saying this from someone who reads it. I'm saying it from someone who's investigated it for over 25 years. I've been a part of technology for 25 years at the sheriff's office, and I've watched it slowly grow into a unit where Sheriff Spangler said, hey, this is enough. We have to put some people together to help. We've got more technology crimes than we do any crime, basically. Fraud and forgery, identity theft, anything that touches technology, every detective touches it when they investigate a crime. So as a parent, you need to prepare yourself that this isn't going away. This is here to stay. And if you learn nothing else that I say, remember this. It's not a fad, it's a change in the way we communicate. We have to understand it. Now, how do you understand it? Well, you got to try to educate yourself about it. Education side comes for different people. People always ask me, Aaron, tell me, I want that one app. I want to monitor text messages. I want to see phone calls. I want to know what we're doing on Snapchat, WhatsApp. I want to know it all. I'm like, oh gosh, get ready. I'm getting ready right now, and I'm going to tell you what it is. You ready? You ready? Like, yeah. It's called being a parent. That's what it's called, right? Because when I tell you that they're not going to stay away from it, even if you put your foot down, I say that because I don't read it online. I say it because I've seen it. One particular case, major crimes, working missing persons. I get the phone call on a Saturday morning from a patrol officer down off North Shore, probably about 8 minutes from here, of a missing girl. Of course, we're all human. Oh gosh, man, 8 o'clock in the morning, I'm gonna have to go out, right? Dang it. Girl, she snuck out with her boyfriend, hadn't come home. She'll come up, she's fell asleep. She'll come up a couple hours and she'll be in trouble. That's what we think. That's what we hope, right? This was a little different. Get out to the house, I walk in, I can see it just like I'm there now. Mom and dad and best friend sit on the couch, all crying, just sobbing. Patrolman told me the situation. The girl got up, left to go to work, never showed up for work, no trace of her. She left her phone and her iPad at home. Interesting. So first thing I do, get the devices. Start looking. I just get past her screen lock code. I won't tell you the secrets of how to bust that because we got kids listening. You can talk to me later. Start looking through the phone, find an app called Couple. Couple, what's that? Guys, I don't have many hobbies besides McDonald's drive-thrus and podcasts, okay? So I listen to a lot, and I hear a lot, and I enjoy technology, and I listen and I study it, right? My own children, 4 girls, God bless me, I know, they're my educators. They have taught me more than I've ever learned in any class, right? If you think that your kids, for one moment, are not utilizing this technology and these apps, you're wrong. This mother, as I'm looking at the couple app, I start scrolling through it. I don't know what it is. I do this all the time. I still don't know everything. Don't know the over 300,000 worth of social media, apps out there. Start looking, scrolling through. Find, oh, wow, I wonder who this is. Couple is an app for 2 people, couple, boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife. They can chat, they can send little bubble kisses, they can send pictures back and forth. It's just an all-inclusive app. So as I'm looking, I'm like, find a picture. And I'm seeing what they're talking about. And I'm seeing the pictures they're sharing. I'm like, this is not good. So it's escalating, right? I'm like, uh-oh. She's communicating with someone. She's sending pictures. She's sending things. It's not appropriate. I can tell mom, dad, best friend for years had no idea. She had just turned 18 years old 2 weeks before. If you think that couple or any app's going to help law enforcement, you're wrong, right? That's why I want to talk and I want to tell stories like this, because we don't need to be to that point. I don't need to be standing in your living room trying to get a hold of a company like Couple out of Ontario, Canada, to get search warrants, subpoenas, because all of a sudden, law enforcement's the enemy, right? So we don't trust nothing. Make sure that we're doing everything right. So once you give them all that paperwork, you hopefully get an IP address back of who the account created that was the person that she was chatting with. Then the same process goes through for the internet provider. You gotta find out who it is, subpoena them, court paperwork, more paperwork, waking up judges, going out, getting signatures, takes time. You know what you don't have when you're a parent and your child's missing? Time, right? We did all the normal things, the hospitals, did she break down? Did she do all these things before? At mass critical point where we know she's communicating with someone and sending pictures that no one knows about, luckily, within the 12-hour period that I was getting all the paperwork together to find out who this person was, we get a phone call from Canton, Ohio, where we had entered her as a missing person. They called, the officer has her there at a gas station. Thank goodness she's safe, right? Basically, she had met a guy when she was 15 years old, online. He had groomed her from 15 to 18. Mama didn't know, straight A student, never had any issues, no problems. Best friend didn't know, tells her everything. Had boyfriends, right? Relationships with other kids. No one knew about this guy. And why is that? Oh, well, she wouldn't do that. She wouldn't do that on her device. I trust her. I know. Guys, if you think that you can trust your children with everything that the world has to offer in a cellular phone, you need to think again. Why is it that we take a child and we teach them how to ride a bicycle? And what do? We give them knee pads. We give them a helmet. We give them elbow pads, right? And we stand up there next to them and we're like, okay, start to balance it. Why do we do that? For their safety, right? But how do we know how to do that? Because we did it ourselves. Our mom and dad taught us. Guess what your mom and dad didn't teach you about? Instagram, Snapchat, WhatsApp, TikTok, Facebook. We go on and on. So it becomes intimidating, right? We have to educate ourselves about what they're doing and what's out there. Because usually, most of the time, it's not them. It's other people that's pressuring them. With Brittany, I'll call her name, the missing person. Once we got her back and interviewed her, she met the guy, he groomed her, he promised her all the things, right? Why does mom and dad make you clean your room so much? Why do they care if it's if it's A instead of a B? They say the right things. We protect our children by not sending them out by themselves in the cul-de-sac because of the dark vans with tinted windows. But when they come inside and they go to their bedroom and they have their iPads and their iPhones, we let them do whatever they want to. Now, why is that? We're intimidated by it. Parents are intimidated by technology. So what do we do as dads? I got this. They ain't gonna get on, they're not gonna have a social media account until they're 18 years old. That's what this dad thought too. These are real life stories that I can sit here and talk for hours and hours and hours of cases where I've been involved with of finding people that have approached people online. Educate yourself. How hard is it though, when you get that and you're trying to do your best to talk to your children about, like, how do you do it? There's so much out there, Aaron, how in the world? It's done too late. They've already got a phone, they've got this, but how do I do it? Communication is essential in anything, obviously. But why are we not communicating with our children about online and apps and cell phones and technology? Why is it? We're intimidated by it, yes, but we don't know where to start, where to talk, because we're looking at it all wrong, okay? This phone is a computer in my pocket. And your kids, when they get of age, will do anything for this. I promise you. You've heard it. For Christmas, all I want is an iPad. I want an iPhone. You know, I want Android. Sorry, there's some out there. You know, I want this technology, right? And eventually, you're going to break down and do it, okay? Eventually, you're going to get them a phone. But guess what? This isn't theirs, right? This is a tool for you. This is an investigative tool. I could not wait to give my kid a phone. I could not wait. I waited until they was in 6th grade. I got 4 girls, like I said, and I've done this 4 times. Well, actually 3 times. My 4th one won't be in 6th grade till next year, and she's already talking about phones, right? Because I use it as an investigative tool. Now, I won't tell you all the tips and tricks. You can go to my website at socialsafetypatrol.com, and then you can email me there, and I'll tell you, right? But there's ways to go about monitoring these phones. It's a tool. If I know where my kid's at, if you tell me I'll give you a device, you can know where they're at 24/7. You can figure out who all their friends are. You can figure out who's being mean to them and who's being nice to them. You can figure out who they're having probably relationships with, right? You can see how fast they're going when they're in cars, right? I've done it. Trust me. 2 patrolmen and myself stood outside the Halls Theater waiting for them to get done with the movie. Yeah? Don't tell my boss that, but maybe I abused my power a little bit. So come on, officers, let's go. Sat there and they come walking out. 64 miles an hour on Cunningham Road, huh? Use it as an investigative tool for you. Your kids want to use it, right? Your kids want to have this, so you have to be able to talk to them about it. If your child has an account, whether it's TikTok, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, the popular ones that you'll hear more about, you need to have it too. Don't care how bad you hate it, you need to have one. You know why? Because you need to create their account. You need to create their email address. You need to create their social media accounts. And I'm not saying just dump it all at them, here you go off with it. You have to teach them. And you teach it by learning it together. First thing they're gonna want is Instagram, okay? Everybody's on IG and Snapchat. Everybody wants that, right? They want to DM, they want to do all the things that Instagram does and Snapchat does. And they don't really understand it either. They know what their friends have said, right? They think they're experts with it. But until you teach them about it, until they learn it, right? And they learn about location services. They learn about, yeah, it's cool that your friends can see wherever you're at. Is there anybody with warrants in here? Anybody got outstanding warrants on them? Okay, good, I'll say it. So when we got bad guys, you know who we look for? Their friends. Let's see your friends' Snapchat. Because I want to see if they got their location services turned on. You go up to a bad guy that don't have warrants on him and say, hey, I need your help, find somebody. Immediately, here you go. Do whatever you need to and get out of here, right? They're willing to help us. So a lot of times it's not necessarily your children, it's your friends of your children that don't have responsible parents that understands the technology to let you see what they're doing online. Nothing good happens at 3 o'clock in the morning, right? Except crystals, if you like crystal burgers, right? Nothing. I talk about food too much. My wife's watching this right now. She'll fuss at me. I'm sorry, honey. I'm starved to death. So nothing good happens in the middle of the night. And you just have these parents that allow their kids to have their devices in the middle of the night. You have a charging station, and all devices go to the charging station. These are my rules, okay? For my children to have phones, this is what they have to do. Every night on that charger, I have to make sure, I keep on looking at my timer, I'm okay. I'll make sure that I know the passcode, I know their logins, I'll look through all their phones, like, oh my gosh, that's kind of invasion of somebody's privacy. They're kids, right? When you turn 18, we're going to talk about privacy, okay? Because your most dangerous years are 12 to 18. That's the most dangerous that I've seen in my different stats will tell you different things. But when it comes to what we look at with predators, that is the target age of this region in Knox County. So charging stations, always know their password, know their accounts, right? They'll try to set up secondary accounts. But this is where you cannot lock something down so much that they're not going to do bad things with it, okay? That's where the communication comes out. That's where talking to your children, right? Making them aware of the dangers of what's out there, not just keeping them from it, right? The bicycle, you're going to keep them riding a bicycle because you're afraid they're going to skip knee, okay? Educate yourself and to communicate with your children about what these apps are. There's plenty of tools out there. I have a website that I run on my own. I make zero money off of it. I don't want your money. I don't do it for that. socialsafetypatrol.com. I do app reviews. So I'll never hear another parent say, I didn't know that it was on that app. I didn't know about Couple. How do I find out about it? I have people email me through my website of apps they don't know about because I do app reviews. Over the past 8 years, I've done over 4,000 app reviews. That's on my website. You'll search for it. If it's not on there, because I haven't done it yet, you shoot me an email, and you'll have it within 24 hours, because I don't know them all, right? So you have somewhere to go. Prepare yourself, educate yourself, communicate with your children, and lastly, moderation. Remember how I told you, don't let your kids have your phone all night long, right? Don't let them walk around like zombies, because I'm a victim of it too. I play Pokemon Go. I've been catching Pokemon over there waiting on y'all, right? So I'm using it, Team Mystic. I'm gonna take this gym down. There's a gym here too. Moderate yourself, moderate your children in a way that you're not becoming too authoritative, right? They will understand it if you communicate with them. Guys, listen, you can't be on your phone all the time. We have to have some rules, guidelines. You know when you set that up? Before you give it to them, right? They know the rules because you have your rules, you have your guidelines, and they follow it or they get their phone taken away. My kids do. If I ever went to check that phone in the middle of the night while it's on the charging station and I didn't know their passcode, I didn't know their login, they've deleted something I didn't know about, they've added something that I knew about but I just didn't tell them I knew about it, right? They lost their phone for 48 hours. It's the rules. To be responsible about it. Do you know that jobs are looking at these profiles as these kids are growing up and getting jobs in the community, right? Through college. They graduate from college. We do it. Why not, right? We screen people through social media. You can tell a lot about a person through social media, right? Educate them to that. Communicate with them. What do you want your employer to see in 3 or 4 years when you get done with college? They're going to be scrolling through here looking. Are you making yourself proud? You're making us proud, right? Moderate their time. Moderate their usage. We know at the dinner table, there's no devices, right? We leave them all in the kitchen. We put them in a little basket, and we all eat dinner together, right? Come up with your own ways to moderate their usage. Don't let it become something that they're tied to, right? Because our kids need more than that. We value our children. We love our children, right? All these children are beautiful in God's eyes. They're all created equal with beauty. They don't need filters. They don't need to swipe right or swipe left. Am I sexy? Am I not sexy? Right? They don't need that in their life. They're growing, right? We got to talk to them. We have to educate them. We have to tell them, hey, you're going into a world that I'm not very familiar with. But when they grow up and have children, they're going to be teaching their kids because they knew how to ride that bicycle. Because they know how to do it. They know what they're doing. So I encourage you, as I get down to my last time, try your hardest to think of social media and technology not as something that's always negative. I try to approach everything with positivity, right? I try to submit positive energy into the world and bring it back. Your children are going to want this. They're going to want to play with it. They're going to use it. They're going to want these devices. Use it in a way that's positive, right? Monitor, talk to them. Prepare yourself, educate yourself, communicate with your children, and moderate their usage. If you do those 4 things, right, and I've been doing this. I've done this outreach program for almost 10 years. I've talked to thousands of people, and not only have I done that, but I found the kids in the basements of predators. I put predators in jail that are perping on these kids. They don't have to drive those black vans no more. They're all online. KnoxSheriff.org, email address, Captain Aaron Yarnell. I'm happy to answer any questions that you guys shoot to me. I know we got a lot of people here, and we got someone coming up in 1 minute and 12 seconds. So if you guys need anything from us, the sheriff's office, we're there for you. We have a whole technology division. We got a beautiful website because we redid it, didn't we, Angie? Yeah. So we got a beautiful website. We got a lot of cool stuff on there about technology, crime analysis, tools that we've been able to push out there. If you need anything, have any questions, get a hold of us. We're here for you, and thank you so much for letting me be here. This is her computer, not mine, by the way.
I asked if it would be offensive if I left my pink sparkly cover on there for Aaron. My name is Lisa Ivy. I'm the Director of Prevention Education at Street Hope, Tennessee. Street Hope is a faith-based nonprofit, and we are working to see an end to domestic minor sex trafficking and the online sexual exploitation of children in the state of Tennessee. So our office is located in Powell. I'll tell you guys a little bit more about what we do at the end of the information that I'm going to share. I will not threaten to sing like Aaron, but I'm sure that if we ask him out in the hallway, he'll probably sing something for us. Y'all, Ted Francisco, who is Grace Baptist's own best in the world special agent, is on our board of directors. I just have to tell you guys, he is the best. You guys have such a great resource here in your church who loves your kids and loves this body and really knows everything there is to know. So he's a great resource, and I will always direct you to him for questions because I go ask him questions too. All right, so here's really the whole reason that we talk about what we're talking about tonight. Teenagers especially, when you're using the internet, we want you to feel like the picture on the left. A lot of times when you get done with what you've done online, you feel like the picture on the right. My hope is that by the end of this next few minutes, you have a little better idea of how to adjust that. So Aaron has already hit on this just a little bit, but parents, we did not grow up, no matter how old you are. If you've got kids in this room, you did not grow up in a world where we used technology a lot. When I was in high school, you had to plug the computer into the phone line and it screamed at you to get online. Most of you can relate to that. Some of you guys grew up without any internet online when you were in high school. So let me give you a quick timeline of technology because we all lived through this, but we don't necessarily think about the ins and outs of what this really looks like. In the year 2000, the Sega Dreamcast and the PlayStation 2 were released. Okay, to most people in this room, that means absolutely nothing. But these are the first gaming consoles that had the ability to game online built into the gaming console. So before that, if you wanted to play video games with your friends, you went to their house and you watched them play video games and you took turns. So this really changed the landscape of that. All right, in 2004, this was a big year for technology. In February, Facebook was launched. We had social media before that. Does anybody remember what it was? MySpace. Okay, so, and even the kids knew that. I'm impressed. So if you were young, you were using MySpace. Anybody else was not using it. Facebook, everybody uses. Grandparents have Facebook accounts. So this has really changed the way social media looks for us. In August of 2004, Google went public. This was our first real search engine. Okay, and then in 2005, YouTube was started. Y'all, there was a time that we could not stream anything we wanted to online, which is hard to remember. You can watch anything you want on the internet right now. Then in 2007, this was another big year for technology. In June, the first iPhone was released, and then in November, the first Kindle was released. So our first smartphone and first e-reader. Y'all, our kids have grown up in a world in the last 20 years where everything they do is virtual. They are playing games online, they are involved in social media, even they're reading their books online. This is nothing like the world that we grew up in. So I say that for a couple of reasons. One, parents, give yourself grace as you talk to your kids, because this is our kids' first language. For most of us, when our kids were babies, we handed them some kind of a device to keep them occupied, and you can go in any restaurant in Knoxville and see a 2-year-old that can use a tablet better than their parents. This is how they speak, it's how they communicate, but we did not grow up with this. So give yourself grace in that conversation, but also communicate with your kids. And Captain Yarnell has already talked about this. Y'all, the biggest and most important tip we can give you for how to keep your kids safe is communicate with them. Keep lines of communication open with your kids. You always want your kids to know how much you love them. Y'all, there are predators in the world who are looking to prey on our kids and their vulnerabilities. We always want our kids to know from us that they love us. I don't want somebody that my kids meet online to be the one that tells them for the first time in 6 weeks that they're loved, because we, especially when our kids hit middle school and high school, it's easy to point out the bad that they're doing. We want them to hear from us how great they are. Tell them until it's obnoxious. Tell them until they say, stop telling me, I'm sick of hearing this. Be those parents, because your kids need to hear it. They need to hear that they're loved. They need to hear the good things that they're doing, not just the things that we pick apart. All right, so the American Academy of Child and Adolescent Psychiatry estimates that teenagers spend 9 hours a day staring at screens. And teenagers, I know some of y'all do not even look on Sundays when your iPhone tells you how much time you spent using it that week, because it's embarrassing. But this is a lot of time that our teenagers are spending online. And here's what's crazy about this estimate. This came out in February of 2020. Does anybody remember what happened in March of 2020? The whole world shut down. We sent our kids home from school, and if they didn't have a device, we gave them another device, and so they're spending a lot of time staring at screens. Y'all, they even did a survey of teenagers a couple of years ago. 40% of teenagers surveyed said that working Wi-Fi was more important to them than working bathrooms. You guys have teenagers in your house. You know what this world is. Take anything, but don't take away my cell phone. That is how our kids live. And teenagers, if that's you, we should talk after this, because there's some things out of order in your priorities. But parents, we know that this is how our kids are living, so it's important that we talk about what they're doing online. Captain Yarnell's already talked about this a little bit, but y'all, I put this up here, and no matter where I go, I ask teenagers, how many of you all are gonna get in this van? And I have yet to find very many that say, that looks like a good idea. I don't know what was happening in the 80s, but I grew up in the 80s, and I guess we were not very smart, but y'all, it was shoved down our throats all the time. If you see a white van, you run. There's nothing good that's coming from that. This still happens. There's law enforcement here. This still could happen, but y'all, there's a lot of risk involved in this with trafficking, and so it's a lot easier for people to build relationships with your kids online, convince them that they're in love, and then convince them to run away. So in 2015, this is an old statistic, it's just the most recent one that I can find, 55% of victims met their traffickers online. Y'all, that's a lot. So we know that this is a huge means of communication for people to be able to talk to our kids. Then in 2020, there was a 97.5% increase of reports of online sexual enticement of minors. Y'all, traffickers, predators did not social distance, and they didn't take the year off because of Corona. So the more time our kids are spending in front of screens, the more likely they are to encounter people who don't have great intentions with them. Okay, so I want to talk to the teenagers in the room for just a minute. Guys, when you're online, are you talking to strangers online? You don't have to raise your hands, but think about these things. When you're gaming, when you're on social media, do you know everybody that follows you? Do you know everybody that you're talking to? Really, gaming is a huge issue with this because we have teenagers who are playing video games with people they've never met before. Also, are you talking about sex online? So here's the thing, teenagers talk about sex, and we won't change that because this is just part of growing up. But y'all, if you're talking about it online, predators don't have to start that conversation. So if you're making jokes about this, if you're talking about this and the things you're doing socially online, you're giving an open door for somebody to be able to have those conversations with you. Are you posting pictures and videos that are sexual in content? Most of you in here would probably say, no, I don't do that. But y'all, I've been on TikTok, and so I know teenagers post those things. But even to back it up just a little bit, most of you guys in here probably went to the pool or at least to the beach at some point this summer. And y'all, as adults, we post pictures of our kids in bathing suits all the time, and we don't think anything about it. There are people looking at pictures of our kids, and they're not thinking, hey, where'd y'all go eat after you went to the pool? And boys, y'all do the same thing because you start to work out, and you finally get a muscle, and you want to show it off. And so you do like the mirror selfie. And like, that's great. But y'all, there are people that see those things, and they're not wondering where you work out and what gym you go to. Y'all, be smart about the pictures that you're posting. You as teenagers may not be thinking that way, but there are adults who are seeing those pictures of you and they do think that way. So think about the things that you're posting. All right, next thing, are you posting comments about being unloved? Y'all, this is something that traffickers and predators are looking for specifically. They target kids who are posting comments that sound like this: I can't make anybody happy. My parents don't understand me. My teachers don't get me. Everybody's out to get me, but my friends don't care what I'm doing. Y'all, if I asked every person in this room who is over the age of 18, at some point in your life, as a teenager, did you feel like you were misunderstood? Every single person in this room would raise your hand. That's a normal part of being a teenager. Like, I felt like that every day. And so for you teenagers, I want to normalize that because there are days that you'll feel that way. But what's not normal is that you get online and you start to post those comments because people will look for those things. And they're going to say things back to you like, well, you know what? Your parents don't get you, but I do. I'll pay attention to you. I'll love you. And so parents, this is where that vulnerability comes in. Y'all, tell a friend, tell an adult, tell somebody in your life, I'm struggling right now. People are not paying attention to me and I need attention. Whatever it is, reach out to the people around you, but don't post those comments online. Okay, here's the thing. Every single thing, every question I just asked you up here is a choice that you get to make. Y'all, no matter how old you are, you make a decision every single day. You make hundreds of them about what your online usage will look like. We want to encourage you tonight to make good choices about what you're doing online and the things that you're posting. All right, let's talk for just a minute about social media. So I already told you guys that there's an estimate that teenagers spend up to 9 hours a day staring at screens. There's another estimate that says they're spending up to 9 hours a day on social media. Y'all, when our kids are staring at screens, we have a pretty good idea of what they're doing. So a big component to this is that the more time kids are spending on social media, the more that they're going to deal with some symptoms of depression and anxiety. Parents, if you have teenagers who are dealing with some of those things, my first recommendation to you, I'm not a psychiatrist, but my first recommendation is take away social media for a few weeks. Cut that from their lives. See if that doesn't improve some of the things that they're dealing with. Y'all, even just in the last couple of weeks, Wall Street Journal has come out with several articles talking about the impact mentally that social media has on our kids. So this is a huge impact. All right, and again, teenagers, how well do you know your followers? Are you guys accepting people who are friends of friends? The guy that goes to a different school, or this is somebody's cousin, and I didn't really know him, but I know his friend, and so you just accept those people. Y'all, there are predators who, as a full-time job, are really good at making fake profiles, and they make themselves look like they're a teenager, and you think that you're talking to a teenager. I hear this from parents all the time. My teenager thinks they're talking to a teenager. We're convinced it's an adult. And y'all, here's what's tough is you don't want to be outsmarted. It's really hard when you start to feel like somebody online has tricked you, but y'all, they're good at what they do. And so they know what to say to you to make themselves sound like they're younger than they are. All right, another big thing that Captain Yarnell has already hit on, but I want to reemphasize this: set your accounts to private. Y'all, I know everybody wants to be an influencer. It sounds great to have like 1 million people that know all the things about you, but when your accounts are set to private, that is a huge layer of security and protection that you're offering, especially when you're young. So you don't need everybody to know everything about you and all your business. Set your accounts to private. All right, let's talk about Snapchat. Y'all, this is the one that I feel pretty confident you can ask every single law enforcement officer that's here tonight, and they will tell you they hate this app. Snapchat is a difficult app. Teenagers, you guys have been convinced that when you post a snap, it's going to disappear in 24 hours. Snapchat's keeping a record of every single thing that you're doing. There is always a record. This is why you see celebrities every few weeks. Somebody gets this huge opportunity to do something that's amazing, and then something that they've posted online starts to resurface. It does not matter what platform you're using, what you post is public and permanent. So if you put it on the internet, there's a good chance that somebody's gonna dig it back up at some point and use it against you. Be smart about the things that you're posting. Also, I mean, I was in high school once, and y'all, if I had had friends who posted dumb stuff that they were doing online, I would have been the friend that would have screenshotted that and recorded it and used it later to make fun of them. Just know, teenagers, you've got friends like that. Some of y'all in this room are like that. Once it's out there, it's out of your control. You don't have control over that content anymore. Okay, here's another thing about Snapchat is that you're sharing your location in real time to where you are. So it's important that you turn off this feature because most of you guys would not share a map with everybody in the world and say, hey, I'm over here, predators, come and get me. But essentially that's what you're doing when you're using Snapchat. So make sure that you've got that feature turned off inside of the settings of Snapchat. This is called ghost mode, parents. So you want to make sure that your kids are ghosting their friends. All right, TikTok. So this is like the 15 seconds of fame. You can post 15 seconds up to 3 minutes of your kids singing, dancing. Usually they're doing something. It's got a music background. That's the idea. All right, so TikTok says that 49% of US teenagers have used TikTok. I think that TikTok is a liar. Way more teenagers have used this than 49%, but that's where I got the stats. They have 800 million active users worldwide, and they say that if you're active, you're using it 9 out of 10 times a day. So here's the thing. If your account is set to public on TikTok, how many people have access to your content? That's not a trick question. 800 million people have access to anything that you post. So if you're posting information about where you go to school, where you go to church, where you live, the things that you like to do for fun, when you're having a hard day, 800 million people have access to that information. So it's important that you set those accounts to private. Also, parents, if your kids have the account, you need to have an account as well. In TikTok, they've got the option where you can pair your account with your child's account, which gives you a little bit more control over their content. You can filter out some of the things that they see. It says that they're keeping TikTok family friendly. If you've been on TikTok, again, TikTok's a liar. It's not family friendly, but this is going to help you filter out just a little bit of that. So that's done in the settings of the app. Instagram is the picture app. So here's the thing with Instagram. One, make sure that your account is set to private. 2, turn off location sharing. You can do this in the settings of your phone. But inside of Instagram, something I just want to make you guys aware of is that you have the potential to get direct messages from people who are not your followers. So parents, even though you've done everything right, you've talked to your kids about this, teenagers, you've set your accounts to private, you can still get messages from people that you don't know, and it's stuff that you don't want to get. There was an organization that did sort of an undercover sting operation where they made accounts for young kids, so like late elementary to early middle school aged kids, and within 24 hours, they started getting messages from predators. One of the messages that they got said, hey, will you rate my private selfies? And most of you teenagers are not going to click on that, no matter how old you are, because that's weird and you don't want to see that. But these are little kids, and they send it with a picture of a puppy. So y'all, if you've got a 10, 11-year-old kid that gets a picture of a puppy, they're going to click that link, because who doesn't want to see pictures of puppies? Some of y'all in high school are shaking your heads like, yeah, I would click on that. Y'all, without leaving the app, it takes you into a porn site. So Instagram has become a browser of its own, and you never left the app. So y'all, don't open messages from people that you don't know. Parents, make sure that you are talking to your kids about those things, but you're also checking the direct messages. You're not just checking the content that they post. All right, so the apps that I've talked about, and these are just a couple, obviously there are thousands, but these are some of the mainstream ones. These are designed to connect you with people that you know. That's sort of the idea. There are also apps called chat room apps that are designed to connect you with people that you don't know. So I want to encourage you to stay away from those. I'm not going to give you a bunch of names because you'll go home and look for them. But y'all, don't look at these apps. Don't get on these apps that are saying things like on their home screens, they say things like, predators have been known to use this app. Please be careful. Those are real apps that real kids in Knox County are using. Y'all, if it's designed to hook you up with people that you don't know, there's always going to be something negative that comes from that. Also, are you oversharing online? Some of these are hard to see, but y'all, this picture on the right, this is actually from a newspaper, but they shared it in digital print, and so I just put it up there because it has a lot of information. Your backgrounds that you're sharing, like this picture has their house number. The caption has every name of their child, first and last name. We know where the son goes to high school, that he plays baseball. We can tell that the daughters are a little bit awkward and mom drinks a lot. So y'all, that's a lot of information that you're sharing online. Parents, think about this when you're posting pictures of your kids. What's the extra that you're sharing? And teenagers, y'all think about this. You go to Grace, you're wearing your Grace uniform, you're wearing your jerseys, your school uniform, whatever it is. Think about what you're posting because you're giving people a lot of information about where you are 8 hours a day. So think about the stuff that you're posting. All right, and Aaron already talked about this a little bit, but y'all, 75% of universities surveyed in 2017 said that they're checking your social media before admissions. And not only that, but a lot of them are saying, even though we told you you could come here, you posted something really dumb online before you got here, so we changed our mind. Y'all, this is not the situation you want to get in, where you've worked 13 years to get into the school of your dreams, and then you lose that opportunity because of something that you posted online. So again, it's public, it's permanent. Think through what you're posting. Take a lap around the house before you post. Go walk around the house for a few minutes. Call a friend. Ask your parents, is this a dumb thing to post? But think about the things that you're posting and the consequences of that. All right, so I want to close out talking about gaming because, y'all, everybody is concerned about social media, and rightfully so, but gaming is sort of the sneaky way that predators are reaching our kids. So, first of all, teenagers, are you gaming with people that you know, and are you sharing personal info while you game? Parents, if you want to know things about your kids, ask them while they're playing Xbox. They are not thinking about what they're saying to you. They're thinking about what they're about to blow up next. And so you get lots of good intel that way. So y'all, think about this information that you're sharing, though, when you're sharing extra information. The gaming industry in the United States made $43 billion in revenue in 2019. Y'all, the internet is not just all bad. There's good content out there, but teenagers especially, I want to encourage you guys to think about who has the louder voice in your life, who has the bigger influence on you guys. There are people in the world who love you. The people sitting in this room are here because they love you. It's not because they didn't have anything better to do on a Wednesday night than hear me run my mouth. They want to know how to keep you guys safe because they care about you. There are people in the world who see you as a dollar sign, and you will live through that the rest of your life, but you get to make a choice about who has a louder voice in your life. All right, so League of Legends. Has anybody in this room ever heard of this game? All right, so just a couple. I want you to consider what I'm about to tell you about a video game you've never heard of. There are 115 million monthly players. There is one new game started every single second. If League of Legends was a country, it would be ranked the 15th most populated country in the world. Y'all, if you have no parameters on the games your kids are playing, it's essentially like putting a blindfold on them, handing them a passport, sending them into the 15th most populated country in the world and saying, good luck, hope it goes well. This is what we're doing with our kids. So as a parent of boys, I will tell you guys, there are settings and features on Xbox, PlayStation, any console that you might have. It is really a full-time job sometimes to monitor every friend request that comes through. Figure out what works in your home, but find a system. Y'all, my kids knew early on, like, I'm gonna take the headset from you and I'm gonna talk and find out if this is really your friend on the headset. And so they're embarrassed for about 10 seconds and then they get over it and go back to their game. When we hit 7th grade, I was like, we're never 6th grade, I was like, we're never doing online gaming. This is the worst. Well, we realized by 7th grade, our boys were not being social anymore. And like, they're social kids. And so we're like, what is happening? This is what middle school boys do. They game. So we broke down and let them do this, but real quickly, they had really big friends lists. And so I'm asking my 7th grader, hey, who are these people? And he's like, I don't know. They're my friends. I play video games with them. And we're panicked as parents going, oh my gosh, what do we do? So y'all, I encourage you to make sure that you're checking your kids' friends list. Make sure you know who they're gaming with and that you actually have those conversations with them. I made a rule with my kids. If I cannot drive to school when I pick you up tomorrow, get out of the car, walk up to this kid at your school and say, is this your name? Is this your gaming handle? You can't play with them. Because there was a lot of, oh, he goes to this school, but he's in a different grade. Well, have you ever met him? No. Okay, so we had to back up on some of that stuff. And I'm mean as a mom, and so they knew I would do that stuff. But figure out a system that works with your kids and how you make that work. Fortnite, this one has 250 million players. So again, you're increasing the risk with any of these. And Call of Duty, this one has 200 million players. Y'all, sort of the why behind this, when we've got boys who feel awkward and their bodies are changing and their voices are changing and they feel awkward for all day at school, they can go home and look like this guy for 8 hours a day. Like most of them want to do that. So that's a little bit of the why behind it. Y'all, as teenagers, realize like this is fun, but we want you guys to live in reality as well because you are great and there's a lot that the Lord has put in you to offer. All right, so if you find yourself in a situation, teenagers, where you've done something stupid online, because these things will happen. Hopefully it's not stupid to the level of some of the stuff that we've talked about tonight, but if you find yourself in a situation where somebody has approached you online and it's inappropriate, if you feel like somebody is trying to get information from you or trying to meet you, couple things that we recommend is talk to a trusted adult. Ted is your resource here on campus. You've got a guy to go talk to. He will not tell the whole world and advertise it on the news that you did something dumb. Talk to your pastor, talk to your teachers, talk to your parents. Teenagers, if you feel awkward talking to your parents, talk to a friend's parent, but make sure that you tell a trusted adult when things like this are happening in your life. Okay, and for parents, monitor your friends list. Make sure you're keeping the gaming consoles in a central location. If it's in your kitchen and you hear your kids giving half your social security number out, you know, like, okay, something's up here. I need to step in. But that's a huge heads up for you to hear half of the conversation that's happening. Watch out for friends of friends. And parents, play video games with your kids for like 5 minutes a month. They love that. You know what's going on in the games and how people can have access to them. All right, so again, my organization is Street Hope, Tennessee. We do prevention, education. We have a school curriculum called Project Post, Positive Online Social Tools. It's being taught here at Grace. We do prevention messages like this. Usually they're a little bit longer, but we try to share good information with you guys to help keep your kids safe. We are always a resource for you. Everything we do is free. So any information that we didn't cover tonight, if you've got questions, let us know. And I'm going to pass this on to the pastor. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Ivy, Captain Yarnell, Officer Daniels. Thank you for being here. Thank you for spending a few minutes outside. I'm going to close this just for the glitter thing, just to get my man card back for a minute. I want to speak to everybody in the room for just a second, okay? It's a lot of good information. I want to close with 3 things that are going to be super easy for you to remember. Because I'm a Baptist preacher, I have to alliterate sometimes. You ready? Head, heart, hands. You can remember that, right? Everybody can remember that. Head, heart, and hands. You just got your head full. But there's still a lot for certain generations in this room to know. Other generations in this room have said, man, they haven't even scratched the surface. I get it. But you need to learn, parents. Over 22 years of full-time ministry, the biggest change, bar none, in my counseling has been the influence of technology. Immediately you're going to say, oh, that's bad. No, it's been good too. We reached thousands and thousands of people with the gospel that we would have never reached. I'm not throwing my iPhone away. I'm not getting rid of my MacBook. I preach on an iPad every week. There's some awesome stuff that technology can do. I listen to some podcasts myself, some great stuff out there. You can learn and grow. Your faith can develop. Some of you have YouVersion or the Bible app. That's really great stuff. But I've also, as a dad of 3 daughters and a son, been heartbroken over the young lady weeping in my office who was just charged with production and distribution of child pornography because she took one picture of her own chest as a 15-year-old and sent it to her boyfriend, who promised never to show anyone, who then distributed it, and both were criminally charged. All the time, I'm meeting with young people, moms and dads, who are broken over a quick decision. And so I want you to think. I want you to start with your head, moms and dads. And as a pastor and a dad and now a GPA, have been learning about this, I've changed. And we do some things in my home I'm going to tell you about as we go. But guys, let me tell you, you can have all the knowledge in the world, but if Christ has not changed your heart, then all the tools we talk about won't matter. You got to have a heart change. You got to believe with all of your heart that I am representing Christ and His church, and maybe if you're at this school or wherever you may be, I'm representing my family, and I've got to love the Lord my God with all my heart, soul, mind, and strength, and I've got to love my neighbor as myself. And you know what? My heart wants to protect not only the Lewis kids, but I want to protect you guys. And I want to protect us adults, because my heart breaks when I know how good this stuff can be and how useful these technological tools can be, and yet how the devil always takes something good and beautiful and right, just like the fruit on that tree, and he perverts it and he twists it, and he takes what God made as good and he makes it bad. And so you're going to have a heart change. Some of you right now, you might have heard something that scared you a little bit. You might have heard something that rattled your cage a little bit. I promise you, listen to my heart. We care about you, or we wouldn't be doing this. There are adults here. She mentioned Ted, Officer Francisco would love to talk to you. I, as a pastor, Pastor Brian, Miss Amber, our wives, we would love to talk to you, but you're going to have to be real and open and share your heart. And then there are the hands that have to come in. I love my kids. Because I love my kids, my hands have taken their devices, and my hands have highly, highly, highly altered what they can do. Well, you don't trust your children. No, I don't trust the devil and the cohorts out there, and I know they hate my children. And I know they want to do horrible things to my little girls. And nobody messes with my girls or my boy. Nobody. Nobody. I wouldn't put them on a street corner and say, go, have at it. Why in the world would I open the window and say, world, just do with them what you want? And so my hands have been deeply, deeply involved in my children's life as a daddy. Men, be the spiritual servant leaders of your home and take the initiative. You say, I don't know where to begin. That's why we have these wonderful folks here. That's why they're going to be out there to talk to you after this if you want to talk to somebody. That's why we have resources in-house. We have so many people here ready to help you. That's why we printed this piece in-house. For years, we've had multiple layers of filtration. We do hardware and software in my own home for my own children. I know some of it's called restrictions, and we don't want to restrict, and we don't want to do that. Well, listen, I lock my doors at night. Not so much because I'm worried about anybody getting out. We're all grown in my house. But I don't want certain folks coming in. And so I've used my hands, and Miss Cindy and I have used our hands to love our children well in a digital age. Now, they know a lot more than we do about it, and that's true for all of us that grew up in the 80s or before. But the reality is, you're going to get overwhelmed if you stay in your head on this. There's too much, and it's growing too exponentially. So learn what you can, but remember, ultimately, guys, this is a heart issue. And I think, Brian, you said there are not enough fences in the world. So you got to have the heart change to say, we're going to work on this. We're going to commit as a family to work on this. And then do it. Put some hands to it. Put some hands to it and make the choice. We, as a family, are going to be proactive, not reactive. Because this officer will tell you, Brother Ted will tell you, anybody else here that's worked this will tell you, the worst thing to be in this world is reactive, because sometimes it's too late. When you hit send, it's there forever. We love you guys. I am so proud of you. I'm so blessed to be able to serve here. I'm honored to be your pastor. But my heart breaks too frequently with story after story after story of some pretty good families and good kids just making some bad choices. And moms and dads, you too. This is not just for teenagers. You too. Be careful out there. Remember that God made this thing good, but sin came in and began to twist and pervert. We're not going to try to throw these things away. We're not going to say technology's bad. We're not going to say go home and smash all of this stuff with a hammer, although I loved one of my children enough to smash her device with a hammer many years ago. I took my hands to it, and I busted it into a million pieces, and then I made her clean it up. Because I love my children. I loved her enough. It wasn't anything totally egregious, but potential location being made known to someone who was not a known friend. So, Captain, I took your advice. I said, we're going to solve this problem because I love them. And I want you guys to know you're loved. And your value doesn't come from which way the swipe happens, and it doesn't come from how many likes, thumbs up, streaks, or whatever it is. It doesn't come from any of it. Your value comes from a God who made you in his image, who loves you so much he sent his son Jesus to die in your place, who stretched out his arms and say, you see, I love you this much, as far as east is from west. This is my love for you. He died in your place. He was buried and raised the third day, and if you'll trust him, you can have a new life, a new heart. He'll even renew your mind. And then he'll change your hands and your feet, and he'll set you on a new path. If you want to talk more about that, we'd love to do that as well. But we really do love you. One of the reasons we've got a special guest tonight and his whole family with us from the great state of Texas is because we want to do everything we can as a church to love our families well, to produce excellent curriculum that helps you with the Bible, that helps you know what God wants of you and what he expects. And so we're going to introduce him to you in a few minutes. But here's what I need to do. I need to again express my appreciation for our special guest. Would you join me and thank them one more time? Thank you, guys.